Welcome one, welcome all to the final round of the Simufur AM Championship. Today we are here at Suzuka, and looking on the screen right now, there is a clear championship leader in RRP's Zephyr. Joining us on commentary today is Kady Timberfox.
Hi, they thought I did a pretty good job last time, so I'm back. Hello. I'm really excited for this one. Suzuka is also like another one of my favorite tracks, just because of the figure eight. I just love it so much, and there's just really nice, complicated sectors that really. It's a test of bravery and driver ability alike. So it's going to be a really fun challenge here for our AM drivers, especially with so much on the line, with the last points in the championship still being decided. It's very, very close. Even at the top, we do have, obviously, Zephyr has quite an advantage heading into this race. Only needs to finish 8th or higher, according to our calculations, on a grid of we're expecting about 14 drivers today, so doesn't have to do too well to be able to secure that championship, but obviously around this track anything can happen, and the times are quite close between our drivers.
Yes, the pace is close between the drivers today, and it looks like it isn't. A lot of people are struggling with consistency. And throughout the championship, consistency has been the name of the game. Zephyr has been the only driver to finish on the podium at every race. While they finished P4 on track at Imola, there was unfortunate penalties for Derg, which placed them far below in the standings for that race and gave Zephyr back that podium. And nobody else on the championship has been able to do that, as well, the time of the practice has just reached 0, and we will be soon going into qualifying and seeing who can string together the best lap around it.
We were seeing some pretty decent times in practice earlier today. I just kind of took a glance over at my timing sheet while we were waiting for this to kick up, and I think at the top we had Maple doing a 2:01.1, which is pretty fast for our AM drivers. And there are a couple drivers who are getting times like that. So in this qualifying, honestly, I would expect our pole time to be maybe either around there or in maybe the high 2 flats. We'll see what happens. But Maple's looking a strong contender for pole. Zephyr obviously is not too far behind. It's a lot of the usual suspects at the top of our timing table today, and a lot of the drivers that are, at least mathematically, could walk away with the title today. Those being Electroshock and Derg and JPEG Fox down in P7 at the moment. But we have quite a few drivers here that could possibly contend for pole, but again, like you said, the consistency is going to be super important here. So there's a lot of complicated corners, a lot of just really balancing the car on the brakes, on the power, and it's going to be a real test of skill as we get going here.
Yes, so this qualifying starts now. Everybody's going to have 15 minutes to get going, get some fast laps. Consistency is only part of the game here, stringing together a good lap. Suzuka having a particularly challenging Sector 1, and some extra spicy corners coming into Sector 2 and 3 as well. A lot to learn as we see Zephyr going straight out for their first lap. Everybody on an out lap right now, making sure that their tyres are in a good position for the fast laps. You don't need to care about tyre degradation for qualifying. Name of the game is to just get your fastest lap. One fast lap. Doesn't matter about the others. You can use the tyres to heck.
Zephyr there, absolutely wasting no time getting out of the pits. Like, he knows what the assignment is, and like crossed the white line there to get in front of a couple of cars, just to make sure that he was going to have some clear air here for these flying laps. It's going to be really, really important. It shouldn't be that hard to find clear air. We've got quite a long track today. It's 3.6 miles or 5.8 kilometers, so there's going to be plenty of room for our drivers to be able to push, but obviously for Zephyr, just absolutely does not want to leave anything to chance here. throughout the course of this qualifying session, just does not want to get caught behind a slower car, does not want to get caught by a blue flag, because any of those could end what could be a pole lap.
Absolutely. I don't believe Zephyr's looking for the pole position here. He knows all he needs is a mid-pack finish to confirm this championship. Obviously, all the other drivers that are still within having a chance for this championship are hoping that, well, that absolutely does not happen. Before we go on to our flying lap, I can see that Suzuka Shark on the chat is having a Suzuka counter for the amount of times that we say Suzuka. So we have to be careful that we don't say Suzuka too much to Suzuka Shark, as Suzuka will then be increasing the Suzuka count every time we say it. So now we go to our first flying lap of Suzuka.
Well, there's another one for the counter there. On the run down to turn 1 for Zephyr. This one is a little bit weird here. You kind of have to brake around the 150 and tuck the car in for the tighter turn 2. So braking down the hill here, and then right up when you get onto that outside curbing there, cutting back into the apex on the power. And then we're into the S's here, which is this very complicated set of corners. You kind of feel like you're constantly balancing the car on the gas here. It's almost like you're looking for the punchline to the end of a really long joke. So this one around here, third gear, and then right here at the end of the hill is where you can finally get flat out on that power. Going around on the way to Denak 1, which is another one of these really fast kind of fourth gear corners, using all the exit on the outside, and then tucking it in for Denak 2. With Zephyr getting onto the gravel there, that would probably be an off track, so might have to report this lap. But into the hairpin, it's a little bit of a weird braking zone because there's that little kink before the hairpin itself, so just kind of something to watch out for there. Make sure you don't have too much steering input. And then we're on the run down to Spoon. It's called that because it looks like a spoon. Look at it from above. So again, like this is, I think, maybe our third around the lap of these like sort of decreasing radius corners here. It's very technical. You kind of have to stay on the brakes as you're entering and then track it out all the way to the exit over the bridge. This is where the track intersects for the figure 8 is above this bridge. So passing over the other cars here down to 130R, which is extremely scary. I think it's not quite flat in these cars, but it pretty much feels like it. Don't expect to see too many sends around there, or if they do, it could end in disaster. Into the Casio Triangle here for the final part of the lap, and then back onto the power to cross the line, which is a little bit farther forward than it is around some other tracks, so we'll see what kind of time that was from Zephyr. And it was no time because, as I suspected, there was an off-track there on too, so that was invalidating the lap, and he'll go around again.
Yes, unfortunately, a invalid lap for Zephyr the first time around, but there is still 10 minutes left of qualifying. Maple sets the bar with a 2:02.4, not the fastest we've seen, as Electroshock already proves that it is with a 2:02 flat. We will be now looking at 2:01s to try and take that pole position as more people come around to finish their first laps. As it stands, Electroshock has pole, Maple is in second, Felipe is in third, and Husk is fourth. No, and Dirk has just taken fourth.
That would be a pretty good position to start from for Dirk there, if they were to start there. But obviously, depending on where Zephyr ends up, Zephyr's down in at the moment with no time set, but that we definitely expect that to change. So a pretty, not quite the podium that I would have expected here so far, aside from Electroshock, who has been turning out strong pace throughout these rounds. But Maple putting in a good time there. Felipe as well putting in a very good time. Had a bit of a tough race last time out in Imola. Only managed to finish 9th out of 11 in that one. But is showing pretty strong pace here, and that's kind of the back and forth of these different championships, is that drivers who are strong in one track might get an opportunity to really show off their pace on a different track, and that top sort of those top times can switch around quite easily. Maple already has invalidated the lap, but was on a 6/10 improvement, so we are expecting these times to tumble quite rapidly here, as long as everybody can keep the off tracks in check. It is very easy to go off track here.
Zephyr has finally taken their first lap, valid lap, and that has put them in second place, a very strong place for them at the start. Again, they're looking for anything 8th or better. They need 8th or better to win this championship, and that's if Timberfox, second in the championship, is the one to get pole and the win. Electroshock goes faster. We're into the 201s with a 201.775. But Maple is on another 6/10 improvement. If they can keep this one valid, that may put them, well, close to retaking the lead, as the Porsche is showing how good they are through that first sector.
And it's a purple sector 3 as well, which is kind of surprising, honestly, in the Porsche. You would expect to see, the Porsche is a very agile car, very short gearing compared to the rest of these cars, and it can really rotate really well through especially the S's in sector 1, like you were talking about. But sector 3 is it's really 130R and then the triangle, and aside from that, you're basically flat out for the rest of it. So it's just showing off the pace there is Maple to get that purple. And meanwhile, it looks like Zephyr is not really improving on his time, but again, doesn't need to. I'm not really expecting that they're going to be dipping below 8th with that time. That probably has put them pretty safely within the margin that they need to secure the championship.
Yes, I think Zephyr is quite happy with where they are at the moment, being the championship leader. They have not had a lot of time to practice for this round, as I understand. They were away for a lot of the time and only were able to get some laps in this afternoon, which does show that their current pace is quite impressive, considering the relatively small amount of time they've had to get ready for this. They are not taking it too... They're not putting in too much effort. They know they don't need to. They know they don't need to take many risks, as a lot of drivers have made those mistakes around them. And Maple has gotten that improvement and has retaken pole position with a 201.5. Electroshock has made an improvement just now, but it was not enough to really eat into that gap at all. It looks like third place downwards is about 8/10 or more. Eggful has made the same lap as Zephyr, but as we know from Formula 1, when people get the same time, the person who sets it first is the one who stays ahead. Dirk comes across the line and does improve, but just behind Eggful and Zephyr still to start in P5 as it stands. And if we have a look at the timing board, Eggful is on another improvement to try and jump himself ahead of Zephyr.
Quite a large improvement, it looks like, at this point. This will easily get them into the 201s here. Dirk, also on a pretty decent lap here, is just coming around to the S's at this point. But you can start to see from these sector breakdowns, you can start to see the dynamics between these different drivers and where they're faster and where they're slower. Maple took about 1/10.5 or 2/10 out of Electroshock in Sector 1, but Electroshock was half a second faster in Sector 2, but Maple was still able to get that time on the board because of the faster Sector 1 and Sector 3, as Eggful looks like it runs a little bit off track there. That was a very good lap from Eggful, but is going to have to go around again. Meanwhile, Zephyr is still circulating out there, is in P3 at the moment. But again, like you said, not pushing too hard. If I was Zephyr in this position, I honestly would think about taking it to the pits and just hanging out there and getting ready for the race. But you know, obviously, still feels like there's some time to gain, and you know, qualifying is practice, obviously. So, you know, if they're feeling that some more consistency would be useful to them, then obviously, you know, getting as much practice as they can, especially around a track like this, is going to be quite important. We have 3 drivers at this point who haven't yet set the time. Some of them might be just kind of hanging out in the pit lane at the moment. but Zephyr back on is actually on a 0.6 improvement at the moment. So still pushing quite hard out there.
Yeah, Zephyr finding some extra time now. Even if this is practice, if he can find that extra pace, it will be good for him. Neo does go off ahead of him, but thankfully is out of the way to stop that lap being invalid. He only loses a small sliver of time coming round there. We have Eggfall on another improvement, going for another lap as it stands, and Derg is on a 0.3 improvement. Looking at the board at the moment, Maple and Electroshock are probably looking to try and trade blows, go for that pole position. Again, the two Porsches doing a front row lockout, much like we've seen in the Boomer Cup series recently. And yes, no, neither of them are able to set improvements at the moment. Zephyr is still on a 5.5 improvement, so that would be a good half second, which if they get a little bit more time through this chicane, they might be able to take that P2 from Electroshock and get an impressive second place. We'll see. It does seem to be 0.6 coming across, go into the final corner, going down the straight. Will that put them into P2? Not quite. They're within the same the same tenth as Electroshock, 8/100ths off as Zephyr comes back in. Still a very strong time, and could see them on the podium for the start of the race.
Yeah, just 8/100ths off Electroshock's time there, and again, kind of just shows you how close the times are throughout the rest of the field. Everybody from P1 to P6 is within a second of each other, and the cars after that are also not too far behind. So we could see quite a tight pack here as Felipe just clattering the McLaren over those curbs there. He's on for a not too bad of an improvement. It should bring him up a position, put him ahead of Derg here for P6, and it did not. Hang on. It was they're 1/100th off of each other now. That was a 202.457. 0.635 from Felipe and a 4.57 from Derg, who is only 100th off of Wolf and Foxdale in 5th. So the midfield is definitely still in flux here in the last minute of this qualifying session. Drivers that are crossing the line now will be taking their final laps of the session. So not a lot of time here to sort it out for those middle positions. Our podium seems to be pretty much set at the moment. Electroshock and Zephyr both in the pits. Maple's still out there circulating, but isn't finding too much more time, and that should be a pretty secure pole for Maple here for the race.
Eggfall is on a massive improvement as it stands, though they have just invalidated it. They might be able to get around for one more lap. No, they come into the pits. Eggfall will be starting P4. While Zephyr is looking incredibly good for their start, we will have quite a fight in the championship still for P3 and P4, with 3 drivers on the exact same amount of points coming into this final round. We do still have some podium positions to be fighting for.
Definitely. The only reason I can think of for Eggfall pulling off there, honestly, there was about 20 seconds left in the session. Probably could have crossed the line. I think they were probably just out of fuel. But that's the risk you take when you keep the car light and just trying to get as much time as you can by taking the fuel out of it. A couple of drivers on improvements now. Maple's backed out of it and just heading back to pits, and that should be, for the most part, Derg is on an invalid lap, so that's not going to be an improvement there. No other drivers really out at the moment, so Neo is currently on 2/10. That would improve their time, but not their position. They're in P10 at the moment. There's about a 9/10 of a second gap to Hooseworks up in 9th, so the grid as it stands now will probably be our grid to start the race.
Yes, Neo on an improvement, but they are a second behind Husk in P9, so it looks like unless they pull some absolute magic out spoon curve and the chicane, we will not see anything here, and this is our grid. Zephyr can be very happy with their qualifying. Maple on their debut does take the pole position. As I understand, Maple has come over from iRacing and is incredibly skilled and talented in iRacing, but this is their first real race with us in ACC. They're still showing that they absolutely have the pace, and I think that their pace will only improve with, well, every race as it goes.
Absolutely.
Still,
As somebody who has played both of those games, particularly in like the GT3 category, it's a lot easier to go. At least I think so. Quite a bit easier to go from iRacing to ACC rather than the other way around. Because in iRacing, you're really you're sort of braking. You need to modulate your braking quite a bit more to stay underneath the ABS threshold, whereas here in ACC you just slam the brakes to 100 and you use the ABS to help you slow the car down. So obviously, just kind of going from 0 to 100, if you're used to a more precise braking technique, definitely. It's a different feeling, but in some ways it can be a bit easier. So yeah, here's our grid. I'm doing some calculations at the moment just to see where our podium would end up if we were to finish as it stands now. But obviously, all this subject to change on our race start.
yes, anything can happen in these AM races, as we have seen in the previous rounds. So while people have qualified in these positions, that doesn't necessarily mean those are the positions that they will be finishing in. Maple has taken pole position. While they will not score the extra point for pole position as they are a national driver, that does mean that Zephyr now only has to worry about, well, if JPEG were to take the win from here, Zephyr only needs 9th now rather than 8th, which makes things even slightly easier for him with 12 drivers in the race. So as we can see the points now, Zephyr is in the lead with 65 points, JPEG Fox with 52 points, Electroshock unfortunately having to miss a round only has 47. Derg being hit with a large penalty in Imola is on 46 points, Eggful on 45, Wolfin on 43, and Lappy on 42. All of these drivers have a chance of winning this championship as it stands. Unfortunately, Lappy is not with us today as she is feeling ill, therefore she will not be taking any further part in this championship. Looking at the rest of the points, Neo is on 35, Kirienka with a wonderful victory at Imola last round and long is at 25 points, and Casp has 18 points. Then we have in 11th JB with 15 points, Husk with 13, Verona with 13, and Irby has not scored. All other drivers taking part are nationals and therefore not scoring points in this championship.
So as things stand now with this starting grid, Zephyr would be on track to get 20 points, so that would be an 85 total, and that would obviously bring him far clear of the rest of the field. But looking down into the other points-paying positions here, if things were to finish the way that they stand now, it looks like Electroshock would end up with 69 points in the championship, which would, I believe, be enough for second place for us. We also that would be so it would be Zephyr on top, and then followed by Electroshock, and then it would be if Eggful is able to finish here in P4, that would be a podium for the championship for them. They would finish with 63 points in third place. Then it would be a tie between JPEG Fox and Derg for fourth with 60 points, and then Wolf and Foxdale with 59. That is how things would shake out if we are here at the moment. So what does that mean for our drivers? It means that Eggful, it's going to be a really, really important race for them to keep this P4 because they have both Derg and Wolfen right behind them. So any sort of drop in places here could end up costing them the series podium. So we'll keep an eye on that. And obviously the duel between JPEG and Derg here. If Derg could get a little bit further up the field, it could help them secure a higher position in the championship over JPEG. But JPEG, could make some moves through the field. So it's still all to play for, even if P1 is looking, aside from any particularly nightmarish outcome here for Zephyr, it's looking very good for them at the moment.
As it stands, Zephyr is looking to be the champion. I believe the only way they would not be the champion is for them to DNF. As we look at our grid walk, Maple on their debut takes pole position with the 201 530, and it's a Porsche 1-2 with Electroshock be in second place, only 2 tenths behind. Zephyr is the first non-Porsche on the grid in the Lambo with just over 3 tenths behind. Eggful looking to get some strong results here as well, 8.5 tenths behind. They went all out for their final qualifying lap and just missed it with an invalidation. Wolfen is in 5th with 9 tenths behind, followed by their Bluey compatriot, Derg, also 9 tenths behind, only 1/100th behind Wolfen. Felipe is in 7th, 1.1 seconds behind, and JPEG, the technical championship contender, if they take the win today, is 2.8 seconds behind. Huskworks is in 9th, once again using Sosh's Simrig, who we will be seeing in the Silver Championship later on. Don't Go Anywhere is 3 seconds behind, and Neo is in 10th, 4 seconds behind. 1V is, I don't believe 1V set a lap from what I can tell. That is, yes, I think that is, they haven't set a lap alongside Casp. So we have Porsches on the front we have a front row lockout with the Porsches, and we have a rear row lockout with the Porsches. Suzuka today is a Porsche sandwich, followed by Spitzer, who is not taking part in the race and is our safety car. Hopefully we will not need to see it come out today, but anything can happen.
That was a Suzuka the track sandwich, by the way, not a Suzuka the shark sandwich. That'll be another 2 for the counter. Yeah, I'm not expecting particularly any sort of safety car intervention necessary today. We got a pretty small grid here at 12, and Suzuka in general. I mean, there are places where you can absolutely send it and cause an incident, but generally it's a fairly difficult track to overtake, which can make some moves, some riskier moves, sort of in the calculation of our drivers, make a little bit more sense. But we'll see what happens as the race evolves. And now, so we're going to be wanting to keep an eye on Eggful for this race, who is fighting for that champion podium. So gonna want to take it really easy on this start here. All that they have to do is maintain this position to secure that podium. So it's going to be a defensive race, most likely, from Eggful today, or at least if I was Eggful.
Yes, and I can see Zephyr as we are coming to spoon curve on the Suzuka track. They are still going for it, as it seems. They're doing everything they can to get those tyres up to pressure. I think they may still be looking for a potential podium finish. While they don't need it for the championship, it would show the consistency to be finishing on the podium in every race. Wolfen will be having an interesting start here, being ahead of a few drivers they probably didn't expect to be ahead of today. So we will see what comes from them with Derg behind. I believe that makes Wolfen the faster Bluey driver in qualifying today. Derg will be disappointed in themselves for the mistakes that have happened at previous rounds, but they do have a chance to redeem themselves today. They could still take that podium if they get a stronger race, a stronger, cleaner race today.
Yeah, the title most likely outside the realm of possibility here for Dirk today, but absolutely that podium is still on the line as we go too wide, heading into the final chicane, and we are about to get this race underway. Couple of drivers here that have made some really good cases for themselves for silver promotion at the end of the season. Zephyr in particular, I think has shown some really strong pace, some really strong consistency, and just the racecrafts and the instincts that we sort of expect of our higher rated drivers here as we round out the final corner, and we await the green light.
Yes, the green light coming soon. Everybody getting into position. Some people will be looking to get any sort of advantage they can. As the two Porsches are there, we will be getting the green light soon for this final round at Suzuka. As the agonizing wait goes on, we will... Green light, oogity boogity boogity, let's go racing. The two Porsches do stay ahead in the lead as it stands. Eggful seeing if they can make a move on Zephyr, but that is Electroshock taking the lead immediately. Zephyr on the inside going into turn one, Eggful on the outside trying to make the overtake. Zephyr may not be trying to fight too hard for this, but is still there, is still holding the inside for the next corner. They're side by side all the way through the S's, with Wolfin following just behind, I believe. No, that is Derg, actually. Eggful looking like they may have made the overtake, but Eggful does... Oh, it's close, and Eggful pulls out. That does keep Zephyr on the podium as it stands, and Derg has gone off into the gravel track behind. That is another unfortunate start for them.
That was an absolutely masterful move from Electroshock around the outside there into turn one. That was just a work of art. I'm sure we'll see it on the replay as we go back, but definitely like great racing between these two here, Zephyr and Eggful, just keeping it side by side pretty much through the entire first sector, as that was a bit of a mistake there from Eggful, which is going to give Felipe a chance coming into Spoon Curve here. Might think twice of it, but could be close enough to send one. But a little bit of movement there, and obviously very unfortunate from Derg on the start there, getting caught into the gravel there. Just was trying to stay behind that fight a little bit and just see how it was going to shake out, see if there was going to be an opportunity for them to move around, but unfortunately it ended up with them in the gravel, and they are going to have to work their way up from 10th as they are flashing who's in front of them as a plea to not make this overtake too difficult.
Yes, Dirk trying to get the move there, but through 130R, it's a very difficult thing to do, especially when you both are running the same car. He's trying to go for a double through the Casio triangle. That is a bit too close, and he has to stay behind for another lap. Electroshock being in the lead does take the fastest lap, and in the distance, that was an overtake on Eggful with Zephyr. Zephyr has dropped to 4th.
I did see that.
Yes, no, it was done on a straight, I believe, as we go to replay. Yes, Zephyr coming through the final chicane may have got a poor exit, potentially. Or it could be Eggful just having the slipstream and the Aston. Yeah, no, that does look like Eggful just got a slightly better exit. They probably would have wanted that for their qualifying lap, but they are now taking P3 from Zephyr, having a far better run through. We will see if Zephyr goes to make a move or, again, takes it easy and just goes for that championship winning position.
I mean, if I were Zephyr at this point, I would just be trying to settle into as much of a rhythm as he can here. Is already about 1.3 seconds behind Eggful, so there's not really going to be an opportunity for a move in the near future. So should probably just be backing off here and just hanging out. Not for Maple though. Maple is only less than a second behind Electroshock here, and is still staying behind. Has set a purple sector 3 last lap, and is looking pretty racy here, so we'll see if the one Porsche is able to catch up to the other here. Meanwhile, we cut back to JPEG Fox, who has made up one place from the spinning Derg, so that's very important for their particular championship fight. So JPEG is now ahead of Derg in the standings at the moment, and is heading up a 3-car train here that has Derg at the caboose. So Derg not too far away from challenging JPEG's place in the championship at the moment.
Yes, JPEG wanting to get another solid result for themselves to be second in the championship, but that is 1v going off. Looks like they may have missed the chicane entirely. Electroshock takes the fastest lap with a 2:02.4 as Derg now goes for a move on JPEG Fox. Will they have the rundown? Eggful with a 2:01 flat. They really would have wanted that time in qualifying, but they had it invalidated, and they're now trying to get the win through the race.
Eggful is flying at the moment, is over a second faster than anybody else on the track at the moment, including our leaders. So Eggful absolutely making a case for themselves here to take potentially the win for this race, is only about 3 seconds away from the lead at the moment. So things are looking very interesting here. Obviously, if Zephyr were to still finish here, it would still be a championship win for Zephyr, but it would be an absolutely dominant performance from Eggful at the moment. Is pushing very, very hard on these tires at the moment and is showing a lot of comfort around Suzuka, which is a track that not a lot of people feel too comfortable at, so could be quite an advantage for them as we head into our pit stop phase.
Yes, we've got 15 minutes left on the first stint before the pit window opens. As always, we have a 20-minute pit window that is in the middle of the race, so from 40 minutes to go to 20 minutes to go, every driver on the grid has to make a pit stop, and they have to change their tyres. Of course, with Suzuka being a high tyre deg track, a lot of people will want to be changing their tyres anyway, especially if Eggful is driving as fast as they are. We can see Maple really closing in on Electroshock. Electroshock getting a great start, but as their pace is slowing and Eggful is catching them at a rate of about a second a lap, we could still be seeing a freeway battle for the lead. Zephyr is comfortably in fourth, a few more seconds behind, taking it easy, but does have Felipe on their rear, looking to make another place. They may or may not go for the fight there. They may be seeing if they can capitalize on a potential freeway battle at the front.
Speaking of the tire degradation, Maple at the moment is, you can see them just clattering over the curbs here at the moment, is using every inch of the track to try to keep up with Electroshock here, who has put in some very fast laps. Last lap was a 2:01.9 from Electroshock, a 2:01.5 from Maple. So Maple is a bit faster here at the moment. We'll see how that goes, as it looks like Derg is off into the gravel again. I think that might have been the same place as it was last time. As we go back to the replay here, looks okay through turn 2, maybe a little bit squirrely there on the exit, but not too bad. And then just touching the grass there, that is so easy to do when you're trying to use as much of the track as you can there. If you just dip a tire into the grass there, especially in the braking phase, you're pretty much guaranteed to get spun around there. And the woes continue to pile up for Derg in 11th now.
Derg being one of the faster drivers we've seen in the championship, but just doesn't quite have the racecraft or consistency to make it happen on the effective Sunday of the weekend. Maple is very close still on Electroshock. We'll be getting the slipstream coming down to 130R now and seeing if they can make a move, potentially going into the chicane, but both of the cars having the Porsche brakes will be strong through that chicane. It's a case of who's braver through here, and it looks like it's Maple. They are just so close though, and they have to take it easy through here. So close to having contact through the chicane. Coming through the final corner, they'll be looking to get the slipstream of the pass done into turn 1. It looks like they may be about to go side by side. If they get that slipstream back on Electroshock, we will see. Yes, they are going side by side into turn 1, but Maple backs out just a little bit going in to make sure that it's stable and there's no contact. Electroshock lives to lead another lap.
And it does look like at the moment that, lap after lap, Maple does look faster than Electroshock at the moment, but at this point is just sort of waiting for a mistake here. It is still very early in our race. We haven't yet hit the 10-minute mark for the race yet today, so Maple has plenty of time to get this done. But eventually, they are probably going to have to be a little bit worried about Eggful behind, who is still catching and who is still setting very fast laps in the 201s, which these two have done, but have not been doing recently, are staying around sort of the low to mid 202s as through the hairpin. They're all looking very close right now, and Maple is going to have to get this done probably pretty soon to not fall prey to Eggfool, and this is where things really get interesting in racing, because from Eggfool's perspective, you want to be able to try to get this move done sort of as fast as you can, but at the same time, you know, the more you fight, the more you lose time to Electroshock at the front. So it'll be a question of whether they're going to start fighting right away, or if they're going to save it until after the pit stop phase, as we have a couple of other cars looking slow here. That might have been a three-way incident between our lower drivers, and once again, Durg involved, which is just gutting. And we'll see what happened here. Is on the exit of Degner too. Just a little bit...
Wan V goes wide and tries to go into the inside, but that looks like that was unfortunate on Wan V. Trying to get the place back, just went into a gap that wasn't there as Dirk tried to take the hairpin, and that does take Dirk out again. Eggful just taking a new fastest lap with another 201 flat, absolutely killing it on race pace, and using the advantage of the Aston's BOP here, actually. And it looks like something's happened to Electroshock. That's them down to third, and Maple and Eggful both went through. I don't know if that was an incident or there was just a very big battle that we just unfortunately missed. We'll have to see if it is on the replay.
I don't think we caught it on our live camera here, but yeah, we'll see if we can find a replay, whether that was an incident or if all of them just kind of came together in the same corner, and you know, Maple ended up on top. But this is going to be a pretty good position for Maple for the rest of this race. But again, you know, doesn't quite solve all of their problems, because Eggful is still very fast behind and is already less than a second behind. So there's going to be probably some more battling for the lead here before our pit stop phase. And from Electroshock there is dropping off of Eggful now that they have clear air.
Yes, Electroshock's last lap was a 2:04.4, which, considering the pace of the leaders, is a slow lap. It looks like they may have had some sort of incident, potentially on their own or with contact. I still don't quite know. We didn't see any yellow flags, so we'll just see how Electroshock does. Can they use Eggful and Maple battling each other to their advantage? Eggful is right on the rear of Maple. The Porsche having the acceleration from the rear engine, but the BOP at this track at Suzuka does give the Porsche extra 5 kilograms. That is extra weight you don't want. The Aston Martin is a minus 3 kilogram bop here, so it's a much lighter car to drive. Those kilograms making all the difference to make the racing as close as possible.
And not to mention the oh, sorry, go ahead.
Now you go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, you got the big V8 engine in that Aston Martin as well, so there's definitely going to be a straight line advantage here as we head into this particular phase of the race. And you know, obviously, the more these fight, the more these two fight, the more it gives Electroshock behind a chance. So.
Yes, as the Suzuka counter keeps increasing by Suzuka Shark, as we keep mentioning Suzuka in this round at Suzuka. The Shark or the track, it's up to you. Whenever we mention it, I suppose. JPEG Fox is looking for a move on Wolfen as it stands for P6. Wolfen having the advantage of being a mid-engine car, but that Aston having the advantage of the slipstream, and as mentioned, that V8 motor in the front of the car. It is turbocharged. There is a bit of turbo lag within it, but it will be there. As we see on the back of the wing, Plasma is a furry.
Plasma is a furry indeed. Nobody is denying it, as JPEG is now about 0.8 seconds. So we've got a little bit squirrely there on the exit of Degner 2, but not too bad. Wolfen has been gotten a couple of track points, a couple of track cuts at this point. So we'll be keeping an eye on that as the race continues. But looks to be building a fairly decent gap here, and again, just kind of showing how difficult it can be to overtake around this very fast flowing track. There aren't a lot of sort of clear big braking zones where you can really try for one. As let's see, Eggful set another fastest last lap. That's a 2:01.6. Still looking very, very racy, and just keeping Maple honest. More than honest, in fact, is all over the rear of Maple at the moment. But Maple is keeping very composed here. Out in front is driving a very commanding P1 at the moment. We'll see how things shift around after our pit stops. So it's about 5 minutes time before that window opens, and our drivers will have 20 minutes to make their stop. As we see the other bluey car in this race, Casp, is going off. I believe that's in the first sector here.
Yes, Casp is off in Sector 2 as it stands. Yes, they came off, they hit the gravel trap in the Degners, and that is them off the track. They are staying in place from what I can see on the track map, so they are staying out of everyone's way as everyone comes through. And Eggful is still trying to press for that advantage to get the pass on Maple. Maple being new to ACC, as mentioned before, but having a lot of experience in iRacing. They love this track, they know this car in the other sim, and it is down to their racecraft that is keeping them in the lead. Eggful having incredible pace, having taken a break from Simufur for some time before coming back for this amateur championship and showing that they have learned a lot in terms of pace in that time, looking like they're very ready to take that silver promotion. Speaking of the silver promotions, we will also have the final round of the Simufur Silver Champ running shortly after this one. So for people looking for another race to watch after this one, well, you don't have to go anywhere. We'll be doing another one. That one will be commentated by Suzuka themselves on Suzuka the track, alongside Suzuka's teammate, which is Wolfen Foxdale, who is currently driving at the moment.
Wolfen Foxdale, who is not named Suzuka, unfortunately, so you couldn't say Suzuka again. I wonder if we're going to keep it cumulative or just go on like a per live stream basis, but meanwhile, it does look like Eggful has dropped a bit off the back of Maple here. Could be out of concern for the tires there. As we have said, it is a pretty high degradation track here, and all of that pushing, while you can go very, very fast, it will take quite a lot out of those tires. So just probably backing off a little bit, just keeping them honest as they go off there. And that's not going to help Eggful's case at all there. That is very easy to do on that corner there. So definitely an honest mistake, and it does give Electroshock a bit of a chance here to perhaps catch up and maybe get back into that slipstream and get back into this battle after whatever altercation might have dropped them down into third from the lead as of turn 1 of this race.
Yes, the race around Suzuka is still going on. We've had a wonderful three-car battle at the front. Eggful did make a mistake there. They may be suffering on the tyre degradation, as mentioned, as they push so much, but they've still got at least another 2 minutes if they want to come in and get those tyres changed for their second stint around Suzuka. But they are still chasing Maple, making that straight line advantage work for them, and looking like seeing if they can get a move on the inside at 130R. Not happening here. And with the Porsche's brakes going into the last few corners of Suzuka, we don't think that will happen just here, but they could get a better run out of the chicane, go for that straight line advantage going into the last corner and the first corner of the next lap. We are nearly 20 minutes into the race. I can see another yellow flag. Casp is off in turn 1, so they are off the track as it stands. I believe they're waiting for everybody to come by again.
You can see the Porsche in the Porsche in the front mirror, and then the Porsche in the rear mirror here on this camera angle from Eggful. So all of our top three have kind of caught back up to each other again. They're not as close as they were earlier in this race before whatever happened between them that caused Electroshock to lose the lead. But they through the circumstances of this race, they have caught back up once again. I think this would be a really early pit stop here for especially the Porsches, who if you don't quite drive those right, they are very bad on the tires. So I think it would be quite early for any of these drivers to come in at the moment, especially on such a high degradation track. They would probably want to aim for more of that 30-minute mark to try to minimize the time lost towards the end of this race. But what I'm kind of interested in seeing here is whether any of our drivers are interested in the undercut in these top three, because obviously Eggful has shown a lot of pace compared to these other two, so it could behoove them to get out into clear air and be able to push on fresh tires. They could end up back in the lead by quite a margin by the end of the pit stop rotation, as we get the notification that the pit window is indeed open. So it'll be interesting to see now how the strategy evolves for our top three here being so close together.
Yes, and we have had someone in chat accusing the Suzuka of potentially having strategy in place, getting CASP to come off to cause a safety car a la 2008 Crashgate, to get the Bluey drivers back into the race with a more suitable pit stop for them, especially with the pit window just opening now. However, it looks like nobody's taking that undercut as it stands. Everybody knowing that the undercut will be powerful, but it will leave them with completely cooked tyres later on, which could cost them all of the advantage they gained from taking said advantage. We have Eggful still going on here.
The tires aren't quite bad enough, I don't think, at this point to really be... we haven't seen a lot of like particularly squirrely moments from at least these top three, so tires are probably still feeling okay on those vehicles at the moment, but obviously as we push on through these next few minutes, it will get worse and worse. So you're already kind of seeing the drivers take... they're not quite getting on the power as early as they used to. They're not quite braking as late as they used to. So the degradation is starting to add up here. But yes, it would be a monumental task to pit from here and be able to hang on to your position by the end of the race, especially if you're Eggful, for example, pushing on those out laps to get back into the lead and execute that undercut. But so far, a very good drive from our top three, really, so far, and especially for Eggful, who started fourth. Back down to Durg here, who is quite close to Husqvarna now for the battle for P8. So catching back up here, and is looking to undo some of the damage that they suffered throughout the opening stages of this race, whether that was physical damage or otherwise. We don't know if that car is carrying damage or not from that bump.
Yes, we'll see if there's any damage. All the top three really close with each other. Again, some of them may really start to think about that undercut now as they all lose time being in a train stuck with each other. Eggful and Electroshock have all caught up. Maple doing a great job to keep the lead, but just doesn't quite have the pace to pull away. Looked like a bit of a jump there going through the curb, but they do manage to keep it intact. That is Eggful looking to see if they can make a move, but through the S's it is incredibly difficult. He will be maybe hoping to get a move going into Sector 2, perhaps. Electroshock will be just behind as well. As earlier, we had a Porsche sandwich on the grid, and now we have a Porsche sandwich on the podium with a lovely Aston filling, although that would actually be an Aston sandwich with Porsche bread. But that's not really the important thing here. There is another yellow flag on the track. That is Neo, who has come off at the last chicane. Looks like they struggled with something here. They went through 130R. McLaren showing its aero wonderfully through 130R, being able to push around there, but looks like they just put in a bit too much speed going into the chicane, went over the curb, and that sent them spinning into the wall. Unfortunate for them, but hopefully they'll be able to keep going. We've still got a battle between the two Ferraris here. Derg trying to make a move on Hustworks. Generally, Derg would be expected to be the faster driver, but they've just had issue after issue today. Another really unfortunate race for them. And well, they're just in the slipstream of Hustworks trying to see if there's a move to be made, but nothing at the moment. Speaking of moves to be made, there is still everybody coming through the last corner in the podium here. None of them, again, have chosen to take any kind of pit stop. So, as it stands, we'll just be seeing them battle for another lap. Every time they'll be coming through for that pit entry, they'll be thinking, do they want to make that move? Do they want to try and get that push ahead of the others, since it is so difficult to overtake here? But with that tyre degradation on the Porsche, well, they may have to think about it again. Coming into the final chicane, Derg is still trying to chase Hustworks as we come back to the front and we see Electroshock making advantage of those S's and pushing back up to the Aston Martin of Eggfull ahead.
And you can see the lines change through the S's there as the tires continue to scrub away. It's really going to be a matter of who's going to blink first here, I think, on this round of pit stops. I would imagine as soon as one of them comes in, the rest of them will not be too far behind. As Derg comes in for our first pit stop of this race, is coming in a bit early. That's fairly typical for them, or would be at this point in the race, seeing as they are quite far behind, and perhaps being able to trying to undercut Hustworks here might work out in their favor, depending on whether they are carrying any damage and whether any of that needs to be repaired. But for these front two, I mean, I don't know, Azure. What are you thinking? If you were Maple and leading this race at this point, what would you do in terms of strategy?
Unfortunately, leading the race, I'd feel I'm a bit on the back foot. I'd want to be staying ahead of the two cars behind as long as possible. I'd want to make sure they're losing time to being stuck behind me if I wasn't quite on the pace to pull away. I wouldn't want to be the first one to come in to give them the clean air in the first place and potentially get an overcut, especially with that tyre degradation later on. Eggfull has got a straight line going through here. They're on the inside looking to make a move, but they just can't brake at the same time the Porsche can. Coming through here, the Porsche looking like it will probably be able to pull away a little bit more, coming through the S's with its advantages. Electroshock still in this race, keeping on the slipstream of Eggfull, looking to try and make a move. Eggfull does actually gain some advantage on Maple there, but there's still nowhere to go, no move to make. Maple doesn't have to worry so much through these corners, especially when the Aston pulls away again, not having quite the same cornering advantage of the Porsche, as the other Porsche in the background closes in on Eggfull coming through the Degners. And it feels like we need a Porsche counter as much as a Suzuka counter around the Suzuka circuit, being run by Suzuka Shark at the moment. And I have also been told in chat, if you say Suzuka 3 times in a row, Suzuka gets rotated at the Suzuka circuit. So we shall see if that actually happens at some point, I'm sure.
This has got to be such a tough, frustrating position for Eggfull here, because we've seen how fast they've been able to go, how much faster than these other two drivers they've been able to go. Still holding on to that fastest lap from earlier in the race. That was the 201 flat compared to Maple's best, which is a 201.5, and just kind of overall, sort of over the last couple laps, Eggfull has been faster just in general, but just is not able to quite find a way around. It is really, really tough, especially with, as you said, the late braking ability of that Porsche. So just a masterclass on defending here from Maple at the moment, and Eggfull is just kind of looking for any opportunity to get around here. As we cut to Zephyr here, our current championship leader is running pretty much by themselves here in a very comfortable P4, just taking it nice and easy, not pushing nearly as fast as those in front. Just to give you an idea of how little they're pushing here, it was a 2:02.5 from Electroshock last lap, and a 2:04.7 as Zephyr crosses the line there. So is taking it extremely easy here, taking absolutely no chances. They're not going faster than the cars in front, but they are going faster than the car behind, and they've built quite a nice little hot lapping gap for themselves, as there's a little bit of a tap there between Eggfool and Electroshock, as Electroshock is able to get around there, and that might be one that the stewards will look at, and as never mind, as Electroshock decides to give back the position after overtaking there. That was definitely going to be more in the realm of tapping a car off track there. So probably pretty wise there to give the position back.
Yes, yes. Looking at the replay just there, we can see the contact and Electroshock pushing Eggfool off of the track. He knows he's made the mistake. He doesn't want to get that free DWP and lose even more positions than he would at this point. It is the best thing to do to just give Eggfool back the place. We are now halfway through the race. Surely at this point we'll see more people pitting. I can see Wan V has entered the pits. Neo has pitted. Casp has retired from the race, as I see they are sitting in the pits as it is, and they haven't come out for several laps at this point. So I think that is their race over, and another place that Zephyr cannot lose. I believe at this point that would absolutely confirm Zephyr as the champion as long as they finish this race. Coming back to the race here, though, Maple has come into the pits. They have decided that that is enough. It is the half-hour mark, and they want to try and come in as well. Electroshock is following them, so Eggfool is going out and will now have to think about seeing if an overcut can work for them. The Aston Martin being pretty good on tyre management, but around Suzuka, where Suzuka has a lot of tyre degradation and munches those tyres, even with a car with good tyre degradation, the overcut may not work, but it could be their best shot at this point.
I'll have to imagine that they'll probably cover it off this lap. Between this is kind of the opposite of what they would have wanted. They would have wanted to perhaps be the first car to come in, but especially after that contact, both Eggfool and Electroshock lost time there to Maple, sort of reshuffling those positions and giving the place back. So I would imagine that we would see Eggfool coming in at the end of this lap. But again, if you can sort of extend that stint, build that tire gap, if you kind of have already accepted that you're going to be undercut and decide to instead, build that tire gap so that you can push towards the end, that might be able to work out for them. But we'll see what happens as these two come out of the pits in P5 and P6, same positions that we were in before, with the gap about the same at about 4.6, 4.7.
Yes, no advantage gained by Electroshock in the pits on Maple there. They pitted at the same time, and while Maple is new to ACC, it looks like they pulled their pit stop off perfectly. They must have been getting some practice in before the race. Eggfool is our current race leader, but they will have to come in the next 7 minutes, and I would imagine they're just going to come in this lap. We can now see on the heads-up display in the top right corner who has pitted and who hasn't. Yet to pit is Eggfool, Zephyr, Felipe, JPEG, and, well, Huskworks is in the pit as it stands, and there is Eggfool coming into the pit now.
Yeah, it was pretty much what was expected there, but it'll be interesting to see where they come out here. I wasn't watching the sector times from Eggfool, whether they were able to really get a good in-lap in there, but for now, Maple is still holding on to that relative P1 once everybody in front pits, as Zephyr comes in as well, just sort of running their own race at this point. So not really a high pressure pit stop there. JPEG in as well. So now everybody in front of Maple has come in, and that will be the rest of the grid pitted and our pit cycle complete by the time that these four exit. And there's Eggful now taking the tires. We'll see whether they're able to come out. Maple is only 8 seconds behind, so it looks like Maple is going to take the lead again. And it'll just be a matter of whether Electroshock is able to come through or not. And in fact, Electroshock does come through as Zephyr exits the pits now in P6 and actually comes out behind Felipe, it looks like, in fact. Or no, they were in front of Felipe. So our relative podium here remains the same, with Zephyr is now about 11 seconds away from or about 5, or Eggful is about 5 seconds away from Electroshock at the moment. So lost quite a bit of time actually from that later pit stop. So the strategy has not worked out, but hopefully they can make up for it with the pace.
Yeah, it's Eggful having the pace to get back up to there, but it looks like they had it looks like their overcut just didn't work for them. Derg and Wolfin, the two bluey Ferraris, are on each other as it stands. As it may not have been seen on the stream, Huskworks has been given a stop-go penalty for speeding in the pit lane, and that's why they've had to come in and take another pit stop. Very unfortunate for Huskworks, and that will be them losing that. The board seems to be getting a bit confused here, but that is JPEG out the pits now. JPEG in 8th place, behind Derg and in front of Wham V. Looking at the moment, we've got a Porsche battle at the front, and we have a Ferrari battle here. It looks like Wolfin is still ahead. There isn't any team orders, from my understanding, from Suzuka in this Suzuka race, but Derg is still fighting. It looks like it might be Blueberry rules, from what I understand, being told by Suzuka. So they are fighting for 6th place. Wolfin is not just giving it to Derg, and even if he did, Derg has such a large gap to catch up to Felipe and Zephyr. Derg has got slipstream, but this is coming through spoon curves, so it'll be dirty air going into a slipstream. Felipe is just ahead of them as well, so this could become another 3-car battle within the track. A 3-car battle ahead of Zephyr and a 3-car battle behind Zephyr. Zephyr having the race he probably actually wanted, just keeping it easy, not having to worry about any other cars around him, just making it to the finish.
Just circulating until the end at this point, and I guess Blueberry rolls might mean having a huge moment out of Spoon and getting onto the grass there for Derg. So that's gonna cost them a bit of time. To Wolfin in front, but not too much, honestly. Still well within the slipstream at this point, and their race and their battle is going to continue. We have 3 minutes to go before the end of our pit window, and that will mean only 20 minutes left for our race. The times in the top 3 have been pretty fast now with the change of tires. Maple putting in a 2:01.9. That's their first 2:01, the first time breaking the 2:02 barrier in quite a while at this point. So, as to be expected on new tires there, but it is just going to be a managing game from here on out, because Maple is going faster and is building quite a gap now to Electroshock. 7 seconds now between them. So it looks like that 3-car battle for the lead that we wanted might have just cooled off a bit here at this point in the race. But we'll see if that evolves as Derg maybe gets close enough for not quite a look. Oh, but there goes
That looks
Derg
like
through
it might
there.
have actually been Blueberry rules. I don't know. Team orders or something like that. It does not look like Wolfin did that as a mistake. That did just look like Derg was let through. It could have been to try and catch Felipe ahead for both of them to battle. We could see the 3-car battle go from the top podium places into the battle for P5. Wolfin hoping that Derg has the pace to catch up, as Derg does already pull away and is now chasing down Felipe for that P5.
Interesting that the pace difference is so huge between them, being the two Ferraris on this grid, and Derg has already closed up a little bit on Felipe at the moment. The gap now down. Oh, and that might have been a mistake there from Felipe, because the gap is now only down to about 1.5 seconds. So might have had a bit of a moment there coming out of the final chicane, and that's going to give Derg at least maybe a look towards the end of this race, depending on how the pace goes. But Felipe running a pretty good race here, kind of quietly turning in a pretty good performance here. Started 7th, came up 2 places up to 5th. That would have been the spinning Derg on the first couple laps, combined with the retirement of Casp. So just putting in the work here, and is looking a pretty good P5 here. But again, depending on how fast Derg can close up and how much the pace difference is going to be between these two cars, we could see them battling towards the end.
Yes, as we see another message in the chat for the Suzuka counter. Don't forget to follow the Suzuka rules on the Suzuka track, mandated by Suzuka Shark for their Suzuka racing team. I don't know if the one mentioned in chat by the person who today, as we should have mentioned earlier, is Denak. Denak behind the cameras. Denak is running all of the wonderful stream graphics and all of the cameras, and is the one in the chat as well representing Simufur. We've got the pit window is now closed, signifying there is 20 minutes left of this race. I'm sure for some people they'd like it to be longer to try and catch the people ahead, and for others they would like for it to be much shorter, either wanting to make sure they keep the position they're in, or just because they are tired of driving at Suzuka. Suzuka being a very technically challenging circuit, and especially for maybe less skilled amateur drivers, they do struggle. But we shall see.
Just a quick update on our top 3 while we're watching this battle evolve between Felipe and Derg here. Eggful was able to close in 9/10 of a second last lap on Electroshock, so definitely could be some sparks between them towards the end of this race. With the gap so big now, it's about 7.5, almost 8 seconds now between Electroshock and Maple, as Felipe looks like, I'm not sure quite what happened there.
That looks like it was a potential... I don't think it was contact. It looked like Felipe may have just made an error. We'll go to replay to see what happened. Derg is right behind Felipe, so maybe there was contact. We shall see as we go into turn 1. Felipe... no, they just go wide, and the curbing gets them into a spin. That was entirely on them, and... it makes Derg and Wolfin's life a lot easier getting back into those positions. Felipe probably kicking themselves for that one. The McLaren showing here not looking too strong, with a P7 and a P11 as it stands. Wolfin may still have been happy to let Derg through to try and get that move, but maybe kicking themselves now, considering that the move was done by Felipe themselves, and Wolfin could have still been in P5 themselves. As it goes, though, that 3-car battle, I believe, at this point has been denied. That is JPEG Fox catching up behind, though, looking to see if they can make any advantage on Felipe. They may have a slight straight line advantage that we've mentioned from the Aston, but...
And thanks to Felipe there for holding the brakes, because that looked pretty close there between Felipe and Derg as they were rejoining the track. So thankfully no major contact there, and it's just so easy to just pitch the car in a little bit too much when you're coming into turn 1 there, and just overcook the brakes a little bit, and especially on the McLaren, which tends to be quite rear happy when you get on the brakes. You usually run that brake bias quite low, so you know, you have to be quite precise with it, especially into corners like this. So looks to have rallied a little bit, and is now chasing after Wolfin for P6, which would be a place up from where they started. Meanwhile, the gap's getting just a little bit bigger around the circuit here. Derg for their race would have to close up more than a second a lap now, or sorry, more than a second a minute here. So 2 seconds a lap to close up to Zephyr here. So that looks to be P4 pretty much secure for Zephyr here, aside from anything particularly catastrophic happening. But honestly, about as good of a race as you could expect from Dirk today. Had just the worst luck coming out of the first couple laps of this one. You have to remember, Dirk was down to 11th place within the first 10 minutes of this race, and has now worked their way back up to P5 through whether that was Blueberry rules, the team orders there letting them through. That incident with Felipe there was just able to hang on, and is looking for a fairly strong top 5 finish here, all things considered.
Yes, coming back and getting a P5 from where they started is very good indeed. Zephyr himself knows how that goes. He was taken out in the first round at Donington, ended up in last at the start of the next lap, but brought it all the way back to a podium finish. A wonderful performance there. And with Maple, it depends on how you look at it, but as Maple is a national driver and technically not in the amateur standings, hang on, we have had Wolfen get an overtake on Felipe there. Looks like they've just been completing that as it goes, but the McLaren will have a little bit of straight line advantage on the V6 turbo Ferrari. Enzo Ferrari would be rolling in their grave with the engine aerodynamics on that car, but the McLaren just behind is looking to see if they can make a move. Well, the McLaren's not known for its strength in braking, so the Ferrari should be able to stay ahead through here, even though it is close. And we see the hashtag fighting spirit on the back of the Bluey team car that was probably put there by Suzuka Shark. Looks especially nice in the lights at the Suzuka circuit. We see the wonderful lights on the Ferris wheel at the Suzuka circuit as well.
I feel like you can't run this track in anything except nighttime. The Ferris wheel just looks so good. We're gonna get fireworks here at the end. It's gonna be really fun. But that I would honestly I would have loved to see a replay on that move from Wolfen on Felipe there, because it looked like it happened in the sort of triangle, the final chicane there, which you don't normally see moves through there. But if you can get a good run through 130R, then anything is possible. Which again, with the high arrow on the McLaren, again, like no small feat. So we'll see if we can get anything on that. But so far, looking like a pretty good race here between our two Bluey drivers here, 5th and 6th.
Yes, Bluey representatives will be happy with a 5th and 6th. It might not be as high up as they wanted to see them, but they will still be finishing together, and that will give them some lovely photo opportunities to give to Suzuka Shark at the end of this race at Suzuka Circuit. As we still see Felipe trying to make a move back on Wolfen. Wolfen doing probably one of the best overtakes we've seen of the race, getting it through the Casio chicane. Felipe may have a slight run. No, they're going wide. And Wolfen spun as well. Felipe made a mistake, but Wolfen made a bigger one, and that's let JPEG come through to take P6.
Just as we were talking about how good the blue cars are doing in this race. Well, yeah, let's see here what happened. Yeah, so just went a little bit wide there at 130R, was trying to collect it, going into the triangle here, and I think it was probably just taking a little bit too much of that inside curb there. And yeah, just tried to hold on to the power as much as they could, and the car just kind of understeered wide out onto the grass there, and that was it. A little bit of a spin turn there just to get rejoined, and that is absolutely not what Wolfen would have wanted there, down in P8 with a 12-second gap. So that is most likely going to be where they finish. Meanwhile, Felipe is continuing to close in on JPEG Fox here. Is about a half a second away. So we could see... Oh, and there's a bit of a mistake there from JPEG Fox, and that is going to bring them side by side coming into the hairpin. Wolfen having the outside line there. A little bit of contact for them on the entry, and a little bit more contact as they go through the exit, but it looks like JPEG is just going to hold on to that position. Had to fight tooth and nail for it coming into there. And it is quite difficult to hold it around the outside and keep the inside for the hairpin there, but JPEG able to make it work.
Yeah, JPEG getting a great run, well, a great stroke of luck getting 2 positions on one straight with what happened earlier. Now fighting tooth and nail to keep it, with Felipe trying to get that place back. There was a little bit of argy-bargy going into the hairpin, but it seems not enough to cause too much upset as they keep going. We come back to the top 3, and Eggful is catching up on Electroshock with that incredible pace we've seen from them today. The Porsche is still leading a 1-2, much like they have been doing in the Boomer Cup series. But for now, we're looking back at the AM race, and the Aston is looking to make sure that it stops a 1-2 here for the Porsches. It's going to do what it can with that straight line speed, but again, there's just not really many places to get that overtake done. As we see, Electroshock's pace is slightly slower than Eggful's as it stands. They're both looking for that P2. Maple is about 8 seconds up the road. This looks like an easy win for Maple at this point on their debut with us in Simufur. And I can see them not lasting in AM for very long. Felipe is still chasing JPEG. JPEG is the one defending in the Aston, whereas Eggful's the one on the attack. And so close going into Degna 2. Looks like the McLaren might be able to try and make a move through the hairpin. Just have to hope that the Aston makes a mistake. But no, Felipe makes the mistake. Once they touch the grass and they're off and they go a massive spin into the wall. I think that was the front of their car that clattered into the wall. And as a McLaren driver myself, I know that hitting the wall like that at the front, you don't want to lose that front area in the McLaren. Felipe is going to have a very difficult 9 minutes to go.
You can already look at them getting a little bit squirrely here coming through Spoon. So yeah, that's probably going to be their charge done at the very least, if not, unless. Well, wait, that's a different car off. I thought for a second that might have been JPEG, but no, it was Neo. Just getting it off again. Just kind of heading into Spoon here, and taking the first apex quite nicely, getting out to the outside, and then cutting back in, and looked like it was just a little bit too early on the power once again. It's as early as you dare on the throttle around Suzuka in most corners. But I did just want to shout out Eggful as well, who has closed up to less than a second now between them and Electroshock. Early in this race, I was taking a look at the, maybe a couple laps ago, I was taking a look at the timing page, and even though it was invalidated, Eggful did give us our first 2-minute flat time of the race. It was a 2 minute and 0.8 second lap. So still looking really, really racy here. That's easily silver times, if not like a low pro time. So Eggful just putting in some monster laps here, and they've been rewarded with a chance here to strike at Electroshock. Potentially not too many laps left in this one. We've got 8 minutes left, which based on our lap times to give us maybe have 4 or 5 laps left in this race. So the opportunities are starting to disappear here for Eggful, despite their extremely strong pace throughout this race. So we'll see if things get desperate later on down the line as we head into turn 1 with these two.
Yes, Maple crossed the line with about 7 minutes 50 seconds to go, so that would be 4 more laps in this race. Both the McLarens having a bad time of it as Felipe crashes into the wall and hits the front of their McLaren. Neo says, "Oh, I can do that too," and also hits the front of the wall with their McLaren. Both McLarens will be suffering of that front end damage. As we come back to this, we want to see the fight for P2, the closest fight for a top position. As it stands, Eggful has had absolutely phenomenal pace, arguably pro on some laps, and they are just stuck behind Electroshock. They have incredible pace, but they're just not able to find that place to make a move on Electroshock as the Porsche stays ahead. Coming through the hairpin, the Porsche will have a slight acceleration advantage of that rear engine, as you can see, but the V8 will start powering the Aston back towards it for Spoon Curve, helped with the slipstream. Spoon Curve definitely being one of the most deceptively difficult corners on the circuit. There's maybe 2 or 3 different apexes you want to take here. You're almost braking twice for the same corner, and then you want to still have as much exit speed as possible to come down this long back straight for 130. And Eggful may just be behind looking in the mirror.
Poor Eggful just been staring at the backs of Porsches this entire race. I mean, it's just, you hate to see it, honestly, and it's. I feel like it's more of a testament to just how strong the Porsches are around this highly technical circuit. That, you know, even though Eggful has been able to just push on so much, that has just not been able to find a way around, and also a testament to our drivers. Honestly, it's been we've seen some very, very good defensive work from Maple, from Electroshock, and Maple in particular cannot, I mean, just nothing to be ashamed of for this initial outing with Simufur. Has shown a commanding lead throughout much of this race, has shown some really good racecraft, some really good instincts, with especially that 3-car battle earlier on, as Eggful is getting a little bit closer here. But it's just been a fantastic race here from both of our Porsche drivers, honestly, but especially for Maple, having their first few races in ACC, and is showing very, very strong pace as we head on down to the hairpin. This is the closest that Eggful has been for a while, and they're going to try to hit it maybe around the outside there, but thought better of it at the last moment. Is going to stay behind here and is going to keep that slipstream, as we see 1V off again. Quite a bit of damage, it looks like, on that Porsche. So we'll see what they might have gotten tangled up in.
It looks like they're already carrying damage from what I understand from previous incidents, and going through 130R, I believe that was. They just didn't have the aero to keep the car stuck to the track because they come through. No, it looks like they may have just taken a bit too much inside curb, actually, and then they go into the wall, and that's a bonk on one side, and they do avoid a second bonk on the other side. Good job from them for holding brakes, and luckily for them there was no one around, so they could just get straight back into it. Eggful really trying to get back into second place now after losing out to the undercuts earlier. The gap from second and first is now 10 seconds. Electroshock likely being slowed down, having to defend from Eggful, making this even easier for Maple. There is only 2 laps to go from my understanding. Maple has just crossed the line and is going through turn 1. As it is, we will only have 2 laps left of the Suzuka circuit to mention Suzuka as many times as we potentially can for Suzuka to keep increasing the Suzuka counter. Now, of course, for people who want more Suzuka action, we're going to have a Suzuka double bill with another Suzuka race after this one, which will be commentated on by Suzuka Shark and Suzuka Shark's teammate that is not Suzuka, Wolfin Foxdale, who is in this Suzuka race on the Suzuka circuit as it stands.
If we could cash in our Suzuka points for championship points, I think we might finish first here. But it looks like Eggful is getting even closer here. I saw very briefly they were within a 1/10 of a second of each other, and it's just, again, just very, very hard for that Aston to find a way around. But is staying within the slipstream here. The opportunities are beginning to disappear. So you have to wonder whether we're going to be seeing a big dive from Eggful, which at this point, I would say they needed that P4 to secure that 3rd place in the championship, like when we started. So I imagine they're probably going to be pretty safe there, as it looks like one of the Bluey cars is off again. That might have been Durg, I believe.
It looks like we might see a replay on what just happened there. Eggful going on the outside, but that is too much on the outside. No way you're going to make a move there and do it on track. So Eggful is stuck behind for what will be 1 more lap. Maple is about to cross the line. Everybody is now on their final lap as the timer will reach 0 when Maple crosses the line at the Suzuka circuit today to complete this Suzuka race. I believe we have just reached a wonderful milestone at the end of this race on the counter for the track that we are racing on, and we do not want to increase it anymore at this point. It's been a wonderful race at this circuit today, and we are looking forward to the next race at this circuit. But at this circuit right now, we have Eggful, and yes, we have Eggful still chasing Electroshock on the final lap. He is flashing, he is trying everything he can to get that move done. Getting close through Degna too, but can't do it. So we get a lot of nices in the chat. Wonderful. Going into the hairpin again. No, can't quite do it there either. There's just nowhere to go, and Electroshock intentionally goes wide from what I see there to close the door on Eggful from being able to make a move at all.
Yeah, I mean, still, like, quite good defensive driving there, kind of showing him the door, like you said. Again, just very, very tough to find a way around, and honestly, I don't think we can fault Eggful's performance here. This is going to have to be a last corner move, most likely, if this is going to happen. And in fact, they might get a run into 130R, which would be absolutely insane to see, but it looks like they're just going to back off. They're going to try to get the run down into the final triangle here, and it looks like they have. They're going to go side by side. Who's going to be last on the brakes here?
Side into the final two corners, and Electroshock's off. Eggful gets the move. In the last few corners, we see Maple on their debut take pole and the win. A wonderful performance from them. Eggful getting the move done in the last corner. Last few corners. Electroshock's not going to be happy with that. But it concludes our podium finishes at this circuit, which I believe the counter is now finished. We can say Suzuka again. Now for 4th place. It is the first time he has taken a career win in an overall race at Misano, and today Zephyr comes across to finish P4 and deny everybody else that championship. That is Zephyr crossing the line. He has done it. He has won the Simufur AM championship.
That was the definition of a photo finish between Eggful and Electroshock there. What an incredible end to this one. Just in that, I think Electroshock just got a little bit too deep into the triangle there, and it cost him on the exit. But just an absolutely dominant performance from Zephyr throughout this championship. As we said, had scored podiums in all 3 of the races before this one. Didn't need the podium this time, and still turned in a fine performance here. Was able to run a lot of the race on their own, and it ended up being everything that they needed for that championship as they give the Bluey a little kiss there.
Yes, wonderful performance from Zeph there. He is doing the celebratory donuts as it has done the celebratory donuts.
Absolutely, we can shout out Maple there.
Yeah, shout out to Maple. Wonderful drive from them on their debut. It shows their experience in iRacing, and it has absolutely paid off, and they have won their first ACC race. Maybe we'll see far more from them in the future, in future series. It's been wonderful to see them drive, and it shows anybody can join in Simufur at any skill level and hopefully have a great time, and that's what we want to see from our drivers at all skill levels.
So go ahead.
Go.
Oh, I was just going to say that we're going to be getting in a few moments. We're going to be getting a hold of Zephyr, who we're going to interview here for as our series champion. But yeah, just incredible performance from all of our top drivers today. It was a really entertaining one there. The strategy ended up kind of negating, kind of zeroing out between our top 3 drivers, but there was definitely quite a bit of strategy going into the sort of second half of our race there. We had, in the end, it looks like Dirk ended up finishing right around P5 or P6, I believe, which was a very good finish for them. Just despite all of the nonsense going on at the start of this race for them. And yeah, just a very, very good outing here at Suzuka as we go to Zephyr, our series champion. Hey, Zephyr, how you doing?
Hey, doing.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Oh, what a
Yes.
race!
What a race today. Nice and quiet for you near the end, and I'm assuming that's exactly what you wanted. Wanting a solid but safe position with no real stress.
Yeah, no, that's all I was really hoping for. I just had to keep it clean this race. I mean, I wasn't anywhere near the top three's pace, and I mean that doesn't just go for this race. Almost all season. I mean, I really got to hand it to Electro, Eggfool, Derg, Kiryanka, Maple. Now, they were all much quicker than me, and I was just able to keep my nose clean. That's it.
Yes, consistency being the name of the game, especially in the AM Championship. Some people might have the pace, but they just get too many unfortunate incidents happen.
Yeah.
What would you say about the series in general? Were there any favourite circuits you had with, well, what you had?
Well, obviously it's going to be Masano, and it's not just because of the win. It's just because I feel like that was my best circuit. Donington I had to learn for the first time. Suzuka I had to learn. Imola was not too much of a shocker to learn, but yeah, I didn't favor that one. So it's definitely going to be Masano.
Kady, would you have any questions?
Oh, I think I would want to know whether you think any of your fellow drivers would deserve a promotion after this one. I will have to imagine that given all of your dominant performances and your consistency throughout this series, I got to imagine that there's a promotion heading your way. But anyone else you'd like to shout out?
Yeah, I mean, it could be. We'll see. I know it's up to most of the higher staff than I am to decide that, but I can definitely say, without saying any names, that there's going to be a lot of promotions to silver after this is over.
Yes, definitely think I know of a few that might be coming, and maybe for the Silver Series after this race as well. But again, congratulations on the performances. You were on the podium almost every round, unfortunately, just missed it this time. But that consistency was key, and that's what gave you such a dominant victory in points. Well done, Zephyr. Do you have any other words you'd like to say?
Yeah, I just want to thank my team too. I mean, they really helped me. Like, I was slow off the bat for most of this, but my team really helped pull me through and find my pace. So thanks. And thank you for bringing me up here. It's been fun. Thanks, guys.
Thank you for
Thank
the
you.
time.
That concludes our interview and concludes the AM Championship. We will not have time to show the final points at this point, but for people who are interested, once the stewarding is all done and any penalties that happen are applied, you will be able to go and see the final results on the Sim Strata website. I hope you have all had fun watching this series with us as we've gone along. And if anybody out there is interested, we would love to see you come join us in Simufur. Join the Simufur Discord. Join in on ACC races. We race in other sims sometimes as well. It's such a wonderful community, and all skill levels are welcome. You've seen the AM drivers today. A lot of them have only started recently, and they're still having a great time and putting on a great show for all of us. And it'll be wonderful to see more people join us.
It is 1,000 times better than just queuing up for public lobbies. I'll say that much. And make sure you stick around for our silver championship, which is getting going in about 12 minutes time here. We'll get that stream going right after this one, and we'll see if they can beat our record for the number of times that they say Suzuka, Or maybe they'll try to match it at the nice number because that would be funny. But we'll see what happens.
Yes, we got a count of 69 Suzukas before the checkered flag fell, and Suzuka was the one keeping track of that. We will be seeing if Suzuka themselves can say Suzuka more. I'm sure they'll be able to pull it off. Maybe they'll be going for 420.
Good work between us too, I think, Azure. I think we accomplished a great thing today.
Yes, absolutely wonderful. A great feat of commentary. But I believe that is mostly all for now. We will be starting the silver race in about 20 to 30 minutes. So don't go anywhere apart from to get some more popcorn, some more drinks, and let's see what action we can get from the silver race. It's been wonderful commentating with you. Thank you so much.